The coroner's report for former North Dakota Deputy Attorney General Troy Siebel, first obtained by KFGO, lists his cause of death as complications of chronic ethanol abuse. Siebel was Wayne Stenjem's chief deputy attorney general when Stenjem died in office in January of 2022.
Siebel was later named in an investigation that looked into the deletion of Stenjem's emails, as well as cost overruns for remodeling a building leased by the AG's office. He was just 48 years old.